Oh gosh, look at the crowd.
Come this way.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Welcome to LMDtv. I'm Ashwini Vethakan. And joining us this week on Talking Business is the President of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, Thilanka Abeywardena. Thank you for joining us this evening, Thilanka. It's good to have you with us.
Likewise. Thank you so much for inviting me, Ashwini.
Thilanka, can you briefly discuss your organization's strategy to driving Sri Lanka towards a knowledge economy? Your theme for the year 2021 was Future Ready Sri Lanka. So what does that mean exactly? And what are the implications this will have towards other Sri Lankan businesses?
Yes, thank you for that broad question, Ashwini. So I think you all would agree that the Sri Lanka, not just the country, even the world, we're in a completely different state. We are not in the same world that we used to live before COVID. So the post-COVID world is completely different, and needless to say that some people have accelerated their digital journeys few years ahead. Some people made their very first e-commerce purchase during the pandemic. And our Sri Lanka no more can only rely on the local economy, because due to the digital channels we are being targeted and we can target global markets. So I think very briefly it's very obvious that the world and the country, the economic landscape has completely changed. So in a situation like that, we believe there is a huge responsibility for marketers in multiple ways, and that's where the knowledge economy comes into play. So I know knowledge economy can sound like a buzzword, and everybody's talking about knowledge economy. What does it really mean? But when you're operationalizing a strategy to drive the country or an association or an organization towards a knowledge economy, there are 4 pillars of a knowledge economy. So the 2 key pillars that the SLIM, the National Body for Marketing, we are going to focus is, number 1, education and training, where human capital plays a huge role. Because through education and training only we can really skill up people and help people have the skills of tomorrow, skills required for tomorrow. And the next one is research and innovation, which is also an area marketers can play a huge role. There are 2 other pillars which I think it's more for the government and more for the IT sector. But these 2 pillars, which are clearly directly linked to SLIM for the National Body for Marketing, we conduct education business, we have a membership. So we have a role, and we are going to really focus on helping our marketers have the right tools and the new skills that are required for tomorrow. And also the research side, help our association, our organizations and marketers have the right insights and information that they need to make the informed decisions.
What marketing initiatives are in place to uplift the SMEs found in rural Sri Lanka?
Yes, so SMEs in rural Sri Lanka, this is something that we have been continuously, or we have ongoing initiatives that SLIM is undertaking. So there are multiple, I don't want to name one by one, but there are multiple initiatives that we are supporting SMEs in the rural. So one to name, currently we are identifying there is a program called Liyaka Mahima, where we identify home-based women entrepreneurs and actually help them to take their businesses to the next level. We even have an annual expo, and we help them come and showcase their products so that those home-based entrepreneurs can be strengthened and supported. And also we have more programs where we have consultant expert committees supporting and encouraging entrepreneurs. How can they understand threats and convert them into opportunities? Especially last year when the COVID-19 pandemic hit Sri Lanka, SLIM came forward with the Restart Sri Lanka initiative. That's where we help many SMEs to identify opportunities in the pandemic. I know a pandemic can never be called an opportunity. It's a huge burden and a challenge on all of us. But you have to live with it now. So you have to understand what these threats are and convert them into opportunity. So even last year we have identified many SMEs and helped them to understand what strengths do they have within the organization and convert them into opportunities and look for new businesses. Similarly, even this year we are continuing with such startups, home-based SMEs. There are consultancies and helping them to scale up. All those initiatives shall continue this year as well.
In your opinion, what are the most important skills workers in Sri Lanka are lacking, and what are your recommendations to overcome these?
The World Economic Forum says in 2025, the number one trending job is going to be data scientist, and number 4 is going to be digital and social marketers. So we have to ask the question ourselves, are we really creating people to take up these jobs of the future? Because data scientists, many people thought IT is a different job and marketing is a different job, finance is a different job. But the reality is the digital is disrupting all the roles, but in a good way. So you have to understand the new skills this world is going to require. So it's no different to marketers as well. I always believe personally, and I think this is not just me, I think this is in marketing, this is a development where segment equals one. Segment is an individual. So now no more we can always say categorize, you can categorize into segments, but as we go along, as much as people interact in social media, we have to identify our customers and consumers as individuals. And how are you going to target them as individuals? So in order for you to do that, your digital marketing skills, social media marketing skills have to be really brushed up. So instead of saying that a skill that we lack, I would say this is a skill that all marketers must brush up, skill up and understand. And even the data scientist, if you come to that, whilst you may not be a data scientist today, but as the marketing automation kicks in, and as much as customer touch points increase, like each day a customer is making like thousands of touch points, you cannot be manually looking at your data. So that's where the data scientist's job, analytics jobs come into play. So we do have plans as a national body for marketing how to help our marketers to skill up and acquire these new skills the future is going to need. So I think I answered your question, but in a different way. Instead to say that we lack them, I think it's a matter of, it's an evolving journey. You continuously learn, there's no end to it. You have to keep learning.
To what extent do you believe Sri Lanka has embraced digital marketing?
Yes, I think I always get personally inspired by the amount of creativity our marketers project. Some of the campaigns that get rewarded at FE Awards or Brand Excellence, how the brands really operate in this digital world is fascinating. It's amazing. I must say our marketers are really staying ahead of the game. They never think they're actually world class. That's the best way to put it. The kind of creativity that they project. I think where we really need to understand is digital is not only about digital marketing and doing advertising and creative campaigns. It's about going beyond that, is where probably I think we should focus. For an example, for your consumer, what about your digital channels? What about self-care for them? What about your contact centers and your products? And how are you gaining insights from your consumers and crafting products? So I think it's the whole ecosystem that we need to get there. I think our marketers are fantastic when it comes to digital marketing, digital and social media marketing. But I think it's taking another step forward and understanding the whole digital transformation journey, impacting the marketing organization so that you're actually having better conversations and better, I would say, better value for your customers, creating better value for your customers.
Thilanka, how has big data automation benefited evidence-based decision-making in a marketing context?
If we leave big data aside for a moment and come into that question, evidence-based or are the insights-based, how are we making decisions as marketers? I think that's where we should really focus on. As I mentioned earlier, social media usage and these digital touch points are creating a massive amount of data. So there is no way that you can analyze this data manually, or like manually having someone always doing this. So it's really important that you understand the concepts of big data and how are we going to do analytics. So I don't want to get too much technical, but I think in a concept level what we can say is marketing as a function is the closest to a consumer. In any organization, marketing represents the consumer, what they want, how do they feel. I think it's marketer's job by design. We cannot get away from that. So you are supposed to understand what our marketers need. So in that context, we have to understand what kind of insights are coming from our own channels and even insights that are out there. So maybe you can call it big data. That's why I said let's leave big data for a moment, because that's again another buzzword everybody's using. But we have to always ask the question, how informed or how insights driven are we in making these decisions when we are coming up with a product? Are we testing those products? How are we taking the insights coming out of our channels, the social media? So I think for marketers, that's the most important thing to understand. Are we really using the amount of data that is around us? There's so much data, I think sometimes it can overwhelm you. You may not even know how to put these pieces together, but I think that's the point to start, how insights driven our decisions are. And this is going to help us maximize the resources that we have and get the best out of the resources we have, and also reduce the amount of failures or fail fast and learn fast. I think in the new world there is nothing like that you never make a mistake, because you never know, right? You can plan and do something and within 2 days the landscape has changed. So it's a matter of doing it fast, learning fast, and take the learnings and move forward instead of shooting in the dark. So I think coming back to the answer to your question, it's really about getting the best out of the data that is around you, because it is there for sure. The moment that you have a Facebook page, the moment that you have an Instagram, there's so much data that there itself, the basic data there itself you can find. So it's important to make informed and decisions.
And on that note, we'll be going in for a short break. Welcome back to the show as we continue our conversation with the President of the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing, Thilanka Abeywardena. Thilanka, what are the latest trends in marketing that have helped Sri Lankan businesses to stay afloat amidst the pandemic?
Yes, so McKinsey recently published the post-COVID world, like 6 consumer trends. When you actually read these 6 trends, they are so much relevant, and it's great to see our companies and our marketers are really using these trends to their in a very positive way. Let me pick only 1 or 2 trends. For an example, during the pandemic, our home or our household became the command central, because you are working from home. One side you have to cook, another side you have to teach your kids to take the online classes. So your house basically became a command central. So this is a global trend. So McKinsey is calling this out as a trend, which is going to completely change our consumer, because now it has become a norm that everyone comes together and do the cooking. There are no the stereotyping is coming down. So the command central being the home is a great thing that has happened in our consumer landscape. And also if you look at online education for our kids, a few years back, if a teacher told you, I'm going to stop my physical classes and I'm now going to do the online classes, what would be the response of you as a parent? But I think with the pandemic now, all those expectations have now changed. So house becoming a command central is a huge consumer trend. I think if you look at, I don't want to call out the brands, but if you look at some local brands, they're really making use of this consumer trend in their advertising, the way they showcase. So they actually have identified that house is a command central. So that's one. And another example is the brands having a higher purpose, or rather brands really having a purpose that followers or other fans want to follow. Because during the pandemic, like it or not, brand loyalty was slightly affected, because you went with the availability, you had challenges because you were confined to the house, and how are we going to do that? And people who had digital channels, you had to had a better advantage, so that everybody started getting into this. So like that, the brand loyalty really was a bit slightly affected, which I think now it's being picked up. But now if you look at it in the new world, brands with a higher purpose, brands who are standing up for something, will be really well received by the consumers. So I think it's important for our brands also to identify this. You cannot just be a brand and just talk about what you offer, this is the discount I give, these are the features of the product, but instead stand behind a great cause so that your customers and consumers want to stand alongside with you. It's not only about the price, or it's not only about the offer that you throw, which is also important for sure, but it's more than that. The brands to have that purpose where your fans or your for your followers or your customers would also relate to. And the third one I would like to call is the e-commerce. E-commerce, as I mentioned earlier, people made their first purchase during the pandemic, and these people, this consumer, is not going to be the same. So are we ready for that? And I think our brands are. So I think we have to really understand that and keep working.
In your opinion, how prepared are Sri Lankan businesses to successfully advertise to Gen Z?
I believe it's already happening, and you see some brands really embracing this and already have identified this as an opportunity. I think they're prepared. It looks like they're prepared, but definitely with the digital disruption and the pandemic and all what I discussed so far now, I think we are getting ready to go not only to Gen Z, even the Alpha, what is coming behind them. So I think our marketers and organizations are really getting prepared for that.
Our final question for this evening, Thilanka. Does the nation have the adequate infrastructure support needed to cope with the changes in marketing technologies and trends?
Yeah. So I think since you're asking a national level question, partly there is a responsibility for us to do the necessary lobbying, bring this discussion to forums like this, and create awareness more and more, and educate our students the right way, create interest for people towards marketing, and also other organizations in the country, the local or international marketing as organizations, I mean businesses. They too have to understand these requirements of the future, the skills that are required, and help their teams to skill them up and really give them opportunities to learn and acquire these new skills. And what I believe at a national level, we really have to create brands for the country. That's where we can charge a premium as we export these brands, or when we expand into international markets. The moment that you start exporting raw material, that's where we really lose the advantage of gaining better income for the country, the GDP. Instead, if you create brands, it can be B2B or B2C, brands where people trust, that's where you can actually charge a premium, but in an ethical way, instead of really exporting only the raw material and the goods without considering the marketing aspect of it. I think Sri Lanka really have to get on with it, so that Sri Lanka as a nation can really place these brands in a global marketplace, and that is going to definitely help our economy. We can charge a premium instead of getting some raw material and exporting them in some bags, to simply put. But instead of that, as much as we create great brands, which the world is going to have a pull, they are going to request for those brands. The moment that we create, that's the power of brands. There are some brands which have a value higher than GDPs of the world. So the moment that you create powerful brands, Sri Lanka is putting our portfolio of brands in the global marketplace, and there is going to be a pull for that, and the power of a brand cannot be replaced. When you put a raw material, anyone can come and replace that, and if it's only about the price, someone can come and undercut you. But instead, if you have a powerful brand backed by our heritage or local values, unique things about Sri Lanka, I think we are really making a difference in the global marketplace. So we have to do that. We are already doing that. It's not that we are not doing it. So there are many great brands, export brands, who are beautifully branding the country, and also the offers, the products that they offer. We have to keep doing that. So the moment that we see so many such brands going into the global market, only we will be very successful.
And that's all we have for this segment. Thank you for joining us this evening, Thilanka.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Thanks for the time.
Coming up, we have a roundup of global news. Stay tuned.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To stay beautiful every single day. To breathe just like we do, because you are truly delicate, protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Thilanka Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Thilanka Wood Coatings from JAT.
Welcome back to the show, and here's a roundup of global news. Authorities in Taiwan say that they are looking into a ransomware cyber attack on Quanta Computers, a manufacturer of many flagship Apple products including its MacBook line. The hackers have published several stolen blueprints for unreleased products and are threatening to release more unless Apple volunteers to buy back the data by 1st May. With speculation that the US government has intentions to hike taxes in the near future, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies witnessed a significant depreciation on 16th April. Bitcoin dropped below $50,000 a coin for the first time since early March to $49,759, recording an astounding drop of more than 9% as of that date. According to trading platform Coindex, the second largest cryptocurrency Ether dropped by more than 12% to $2,263 per token. However, the situation seems to have cleared slightly for the two cryptocurrencies as the selling rate for Bitcoin and Ether rebounded to over $50,000 and $2,400 respectively on the 25th of April. Experts have warned that a text message scam that infects Android phones is spreading across the US. Pretending to be a package delivery firm, hackers send a generic message that prompts users to install a tracking app which turns out to be a malicious piece of spyware. Called FluBot, it can take over devices and spy on phones to gather sensitive data, including online banking details. Vodafone has stated that millions of such text messages have already been sent across all networks. We can only hope that this scam doesn't make its way into Sri Lanka, seeing as how susceptible people can be to such intricate schemes. In a surprising move, Twitter has revealed that it is planning to establish a regional headquarters in the West African nation of Ghana. The decision was based on shared values as the country supports free speech, online freedom, and the open internet. The Ghanaian president enthusiastically retweeted the news, expressing his delight, saying it is a start of a beautiful partnership and critical for the development of Ghana's tech hub. An influential US magazine has reported that the autopilot feature in Tesla vehicles can be bamboozled into operating without a driver. Consumer Reports engineers have looked into these claims and tested the Model Y on a closed track and concluded that the system could be easily tricked. Tesla's autopilot is said to be an advanced driver assistance system that enhances the safety and convenience behind the wheel. However, the Consumer Reports team has managed to trick the car into driving their test track with no one in the driver's seat. Consumer Reports Senior Director of Auto Testing, Jake Fisher, said the vehicle not only failed to make sure that the driver was paying attention, but it also couldn't tell if there was a driver at all. Jaguar Land Rover has decided to shut down its two main factories temporarily due to a shortage of computer chips. The crisis has affected a handful of Britain's largest car makers, including Ford. A statement from Jaguar Land Rover revealed that it intends to close its sites for a limited period from 26th April. A group of 15 volunteers have emerged from a cave in southwest France after spending 40 days inside with no phone, sunshine or clocks as part of a study to explore the limits of human adaptability to isolation. The project aimed to test how people respond to losing their sense of time and space. The brain activity and cognitive functions of volunteers were analyzed before they entered the cave and compared to the data gathered after they left. The group had to organize tasks without being able to use a measure of time to create deadlines, relying on their body clocks and sleep cycles to keep track of their daily routine. The volunteers had a few modern comforts, having to generate their own electricity like with a pedal bike and draw water from a well 40 meters below the earth. The Premier League, English Football League and Women's Super League clubs have decided to partake in a 4-day boycott of social media platforms in an effort to combat abuse and discrimination. The Football Association, as well as leagues bodies and other organizations, including anti-discrimination charity Kick It Out, are expected to take part in this initiative. The boycott is scheduled to commence on 30th April. And that's all we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.